Captain Matt, Boater's Secret Weapon. It's National Safe Boating Week. In this video, we're going to talk about carbon monoxide. It's the deadly killer on the water that you need to be aware of. And it's something that too few people even know exists when they're out on the water. So let's talk about it. Carbon monoxide is a odorless, tasteless, and invisible gas that's about the same weight as air. So it just sort of hangs out when you're in the situation, and it truly can be deadly. Every year it kills a handful of people unexpectedly, and oftentimes they're children because they can take in less. So any combustible engine, any engine that runs fuel is going to produce that carbon monoxide. It's what comes out of your exhaust in your car, comes out of your exhaust in your boat, comes out of your exhaust in your generator if you have that equipment. So because it's about the same weight as air, it just sort of hangs out. If you're running your engine, it's just going to be in the air. A few danger areas when you're looking at carbon monoxide. When your boat is going very slow and you're just idling, it can sometimes create what's called a station wagon effect, where that air just gets sucked back into the cockpit. And if you're going for a long period of time at very slow speeds, it can happen. It also, if you have a tailwind, it can blow that carbon monoxide back into the boat, and it can be a very dangerous situation. Another time it can happen is if you have a cruiser and you have your cabin door open. That, again, that station wagon effect or that tailwind can blow it right down into the cabin and it stays in there. The other thing, if you have your camper canvas up, another time when it's really easy for that station wagon effect and come back in and cause problems. I personally have had that happen to myself when I was running a 39-foot Sea Ray, and on delivery, a client of mine got sick from that carbon monoxide because I just wasn't paying attention. Because it's tasteless, odorless, colorless, you don't know that the problem's happening. So you want to look out for the symptoms. Headaches, nausea, being real tired and sluggish are the side effects, but they're also the side effects of a fun, busy day on the water. If you've been drinking, it could be a side effect of that as well. So pay close attention to those scenarios where they're most prevalent. Kids, we mentioned, more susceptible because of their smaller body size. That carbon monoxide gets in the bloodstream, and when it gets to too high of ratio from the carbon monoxide, it doesn't let the oxygen get into the blood. When you get to too high a ratio, that's when the problem sets in, and it could be hours later that you really see the major effect. So just avoiding it altogether. So what do? Well, there's a couple of things you can do. One is, if you're running at slow speeds and you pay attention to that wind, is that wind pushing back? Every now and again, maybe give it a little bit more throttle and get that air flowing, or change the direction that you're going so that the wind hits you in a little bit different direction. It can move some of that carbon monoxide out. It's typically going to be on those calm days when that wind isn't happening or the wind is going with you, and those are when the situations can turn deadly. And like I said, they do every year. The other thing that you can do is you can have a carbon monoxide detector on your boat. If your boat's equipped with a cabin, you must have one by law. Now, this is a home one that I have because it's something that it scares the death out of me that with my young kids that something like that could happen. So they make portable ones that you can just clip in the boat somewhere. They also make mounted ones that are wired into your cabin boats, and you want to test those periodically because these are going to last 7 to 10 years at only 50 to 100, even 150 bucks. It's a pretty small investment to make sure that you're safe, especially if you're going to be overnighting on your boat or sleeping on it at all. You want to make sure you test that. There's always a little test button that you can press that's going to give just a really, really annoying beep, but it's worth it to know that your carbon monoxide detector is working properly. If it's a battery-powered one, make sure you're changing the batteries out every season so that you know that's in good shape. Another thing that you can do is you can inspect your exhaust. If your exhaust has any holes in it or it's not exhausting properly, that can leave more of that carbon monoxide in your boat. So it can be more common on older boats or boats that aren't exhausted properly. Same thing with your generators. It can be a generator that wasn't exhausted properly and that carbon monoxide is staying inside the boat where your passengers are and where you're having fun. If you do a lot of anchoring out and you're hanging out, whether a generator or just other boats, be aware if another boat is just leaving it running and there's people hanging out in the stern of the boat right by the water where all that exhaust is. Again, on a calm day, that exhaust is just sort of hanging out right by them, and it can be a very dangerous situation. So if you have that situation, hey, can you turn that off until you're ready to leave, and then you can avoid that. Or again, the generator, if somebody's running the generator, ask them to turn it down for a while. So down below, you can see some of the carbon monoxide detectors that we have available. The key is make sure you're testing yours, making sure that you're just aware of it. So now you have the knowledge and you can avoid those situations just by being aware of them. And remember, life truly is better on a boat.